Hello, viola players. Let's see if we can go on down to the bottom half of page 5, which is called Thick Blended Smoothly. The idea is that I want you to think about something slow, steady. You can't go too fast with this or you're going to get a headache. And it's something that is yummy and you want to enjoy it, but it needs to be relaxed. So any kind of tension in your body will make the bow kind of be jumpy. So we're going to work on open strings again, but this time we're going to skip around and use different rhythms. So if you look at your music, you have half notes to begin with, but they also go from C string, skip the G string and go to the D string, then go to the A string, then we're going to skip from the A and we're going to skip the D string and go down to G. And so this is going to be a big exercise that actually takes some time. So don't stress if this page in and of itself takes you a couple of weeks to really master. One of the things I want you to remember, again, if I can harp on this a little bit, is that music is a learned skill. And if you learn one skill at a time, they're going to build on each other. So the more stuff, basic stuff that you can get in your long-term memory, so you don't have to think about it anymore. As soon as you don't have to think about your position, it just comes to you naturally, and you don't have to think about your bow hold. That just comes to you naturally. If you don't have to think about your bow arm level or your bow pull, that comes naturally. Then when we add another skill, such as your left hand and your fingers, this is already in place and you don't have to think about it. So I want you to not skip over some of these very basic, rudimentary, maybe a little boring, but kind of fun too, because if the more you spend time with your instrument, you know, it was tedious to learn the alphabet and to read, but when you were a kid, that was kind of fun because it was a game a little bit. And then learning how to read was like opened up a whole new world for all of us. So in terms of your instrument, it's the same thing. And I want you to ignore my instrument. I have a 5-string viola. So you have an A string as your top string. I have an E string as my top string. And so I only will use the bottom 4 strings for the viola case. And so when I'm putting my bow on the 2nd string down, that's my A string. I want you to pretend that I don't have that E string when you're playing yours. And don't put yours on the 2nd string, put it on your 1st string. So let's go on to Thick Blended Smoothly. Let's look at it a little bit first. So we've got half notes mixed in with whole notes, mixed in with quarter notes, but it's still all open strings. This time though, you're going to go like this one goes from C string, skips G string, goes to D string, and goes to the A string. So we have a bow technique, and it's all open strings. So once you put your instrument in place, you can leave your left hand here, set your bow on the string, relax. So we're starting down here on the G string. In order to get from G to D, you're going to quietly roll and change directions. So that first measure may even take you a few times to get, so that you're not going, you don't want to hear another note in there. You want to go quietly and roll, don't lift. And then up bow. In this video and in these lessons, we're not going to talk about a legato stroke as of yet. You may get just like, if there's a little bit of a pause between each one, that's okay. But you don't want to hit other strings, so make sure you're getting each note very clean, because remember, they get jealous of each other If the C string is highlighted in your music and you play on the other string, it's going to say, hey, wait a minute, that was my time, not hers. So here we go. Let's try this one. So we're going to go C string, roll to D, then roll to A, then roll to D, D, then roll to C, and then A to D, and then a long C string, 2, 3, 4, and a long D string. Now if you spend 15 to 20 minutes on those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measures one day, that's perfectly fine. Then the next day, come back and see if you've still got them. If you don't, work those through again. Make sure you're not ticking other strings. Make sure you're getting a good tone. Make sure you're parallel to your bridge. So all of those are the skills. And then you're learning to read and mix up melodies with this. So you have some half notes, some whole notes. If we go down to measure, well, let's go down to the third line here where it goes to quarter notes, half note, quarter notes, then half note, then look at the next part. These are all quarter notes. So we're going to play around with the bow pull being either longer or shorter, and with rhythm on this one too. And this one is not as easy as it looks. So be really aware that you're going to have to really practice this. So let's start on that third line. We have 2 A's. 1, 2, ready, play. And then what's that note? Is that G? Good. So G, then 2 D on a half note, and then C quarter note, then G, skip D and go to A, then all quarter notes, and say the notes. G, C, D, then G, A, D, D, and then C, 2, 3, 4, and long 2, 3, 4. So there is your work on this one. It takes about a week, I would say, for most people, if you spend 15-20 minutes a day to get through page 5. And then the next video will be a done and dusted for this page. So have a great week. Keep practicing, and we'll see you on the next video.